Any idea who replaces Boquist on the Chicago power play?
I have an idea. Do
Do
you?
you?
Yeah.
Is it Duncan Keith?
It is Duncan Keith.
That's who I thought it would be.
That makes the most sense to me.
Except Daily Faceoff still has Boquist listed on the first power play unit, so
They still do. Yeah, I think Boquist and DeBrincat are like game time decisions right now. I don't know. It's just with this COVID protocol, like we have no idea what's happening.
yeah, it's tough.
What's up, Wolf Clam?
Hey, Wolf.
Did you play last night at all?
No, I didn't.
No.
I didn't touch the one game.
The 7-1 game with Pedersen and Besser getting a big fat 0. I think Miller also had a 0. Brent Sutter, though, hat trick.
Wolf, I don't know what you're talking about, man. Like, absolutely nothing has changed between the last stream that Mike and I had. My $1,200 computer didn't malfunction or anything, and I haven't been having any audio issues at all. So you must just be seeing things, dude.
What's up, Matt? What's going on, man? Welcome. Dahlin is available in my league. Should I drop Anderson for him? I mean, yeah, I probably would. Is there anyone else you could drop for him? I think Dahlin should be owned in like every league. Yeah, just want your insight on this parlay tonight. Yeah, I'd love to hear it, Ryan. I have Besser. That was a disappointment. -1. Yeah, it was so ugly. So ugly last night. But hopefully you guys started Demko. He was in my must-start goalies video. I started him last night. 34 saves in a win. I'll take that. Florida, Flyers, Yotes, Flames, and Preds. Oof, that's such a hard parlay to win. Like, I think the Panthers are in a pretty tough matchup against the Jackets. The Flyers should be fine. The Yotes are also in a difficult matchup. No, they're against Anaheim tonight. I like the Yotes tonight. I think Kemper could easily shut them out. Flames are in a tough matchup against the Leafs. I have no clue. No clue how that game's going to go. It's all about Markstrom and Anderson. And then the Preds, Preds against Chicago's easy tonight. Man, Ryan, that must pay out pretty nice, though. Because there's definitely not any definitive wins in that, other than the Flyers, I guess. Even then, I feel like they're not really giving them too much of a... Like, the odds probably aren't that good. I have Gerard, too. Yeah, I'd probably drop Gerard for Dahlin over Anderson. Again, Saturday. Yeah, man, let's go Yossi. Yossi's going to be my favorite D tonight. So, yeah, I guess this is kind of a long slate, guys, so we'll probably get started right away, and then we'll answer some of your questions as we move on. We just kind of got to get through all 13 games tonight. I don't remember if I've played on a 13-game slate. Was there a 13-game slate last year, Clarky? I don't think there was. I think 12 was the max.
It's been a while. Like, and I find it so weird that, like, the NHL loaded up the Sunday, had one game on the Monday, and then they go back to, like, having, like, a huge slate on the Tuesday. The Sunday one just doesn't make any sense to me because of the NFL. But
yeah, I don't get it. Yeah, I don't know why that was a thing. Anyways, okay, let's jump into this. First game, we got Rangers and Sabres. The Rangers have been kind of quiet. Zibanejad especially. I mean, if a lot of you... or some of you have drafted him in your leagues. I know I have him in 2 of my 3 leagues. He's just been so underwhelming. But they're in a good spot tonight against the Sabres. They're kind of a weak team defensively. I just think it's a matter of time before the Zibanejad line, scores 2 or 3 goals. I think Lafreniere is just kind of getting his feet wet right now in the league. He does look slow and undersized out there, but it'll come. I'm definitely going to have some Rangers tonight. I just think it's too hard to lay off a Zib at 6,600. It's such a good price. You're paying $13.5 for a first line in a pretty good spot against the Sabres here, so I don't mind them. The second line I'm not overly excited about. I just think Buchnevich is super overpriced at $6K. The fact that Kreider's $2,000 less than him, intrigues me a little bit more. So I can definitely see myself going to Rangers 1 here. I can also see myself taking a Rangers power play stack. The only issue with it right now is that it's extremely expensive. So we see Fox down here at 6,600 tonight. 6,600 for Adam Fox. And I get, he's a really good defenseman. And we did change his projections based on his new minutes and his power play time. And, just from what we're seeing here, 6,600 seems like a little too much for Fox. He's going to have to, get 5 shots, a few blocks, and maybe a couple points to pay off value. But he will be super under-owned tonight, so I can definitely see him being some sort of a contrarian play with your Ranger stacks. And Shesterkin here, I'm not a Shesterkin fan tonight. I think the Sabres are going to have a lot of offense against the Rangers tonight. So I can't really see myself going Shesterkin here. There's just some better matchups for me.
Yeah, I agree with the Shesterkin take for sure. Even at 7,500, even though he's cheap, I think, like you said, the Sabres have a lot of opportunity to score against a weak defensive team in the Rangers. Adam Fox for 6,600, I think you just have better high-end D to go to guys like Yossi, Burns, who are a little bit more expensive, but I think will probably pay off a little bit. But I think if I'm going anywhere tonight, it's the first line. Like usually we see Zib around like 8K, right? So for him to be at 6,600, I think it's a good opportunity, especially with the slow start he's had, and he's an elite player now. Like it's not even up for question. So I'm definitely going to get to some Rangers one. And then hopefully like Lafreniere gets going as well at 2,900. It kind of brings the price of the line down, so they'll be cheap and a good line to get to.
Yeah, 2,900 for Lafreniere. I mean, we haven't seen much of him yet, but I think he played close to 19 minutes last game, so that's something to really keep our eye on. I mean, if you're 2,900 playing first line, playing on the power play, and playing 19, 20 minutes a night, I think it's just kind of hard for me to stay away from you.
Talented guy player.
Yeah,
like he can score, so they got to get him going somehow.
I agree. All right, so looking at the Georgiev going tonight, yeah, I mean, it doesn't really change my outlook at all. I think they're just similar, so still a tough matchup. So flipping over to the Sabres side, Sabres won. They're in a really favorable spot tonight. They've been producing pretty well in the first 58 games. They have a 3.21 expected goals. I know the sample is low, but it is pretty good for a line that's been together for the first 5 games. They're all power play 1 correlation. They're all playing over 20 minutes a night. The Rangers are just a brutal team defensively. They give up a lot of power play opportunity as well. So having this PP1 correlation, I think, is really important for tonight. So I'm definitely going to have some Sabres 1. They're one of my favorite stacks tonight. And the Sabres 2, they're not bad. We see Middlestad up there on the second line now at 2,800. It's a pretty good price. He's another guy similar to Lafreniere, where their respective team just needs them to get going tonight or at some point. Middlestad was a highly touted prospect. He was lighting up that Sabres camp. I think it was last year or 2 years ago, and everyone was high on him. But he's definitely fallen off. So I'm going to have some Sabres 2 tonight. It's just hard for me to justify going Sabres 2 over Rangers 1, and the price difference is only like 1,100. So I don't mind them. They're an okay filler stack, but I just think there's going to be better spots on the slate tonight. On the D side, Dahlin 4,100. He showed some signs of life with 6 shots last game. So I'm going to have me some Dahlin tonight. I just think the Rangers are so bad on the penalty kill, and they take so many penalties that it's just Dahlin's in a really good spot tonight. Dishing the puck on the power play, taking some high-quality chances. So yeah, I can definitely see myself getting to Dahlin. And I'm not sure. We don't have the goalie that is in net tonight. I'm thinking it's going to be Ullmark, but I can't see myself getting too much on the Sabres goaltending tonight either.
Yeah, I agree. I'm definitely away from goalies on this game altogether, and unless I'll probably have a little bit of correlation, but I really like Sabres 1 tonight. You saw Eichel with 8 shots last game. He has 6 assists through 5 games, so you can tell he's itching for a goal. Hall had 6 shots as well, and we saw Dahlin start to shoot a little bit. So I think against a weaker defensive team like the Rangers, I really like that top line of the Sabres. So I'm definitely going to have some Sabres 1 tonight. Probably not so much the second line, even though Eric Stahl's seen a little bit of success just early on with the Sabres. But it's Sabres 1 for me tonight, and I'm really big on them.
So I just set up the dual monitor setup here, and I'm just trying to look on natural stat trick right now, but it looks like my cursor is showing up on your face.
Nice.
I'm like, what's going on here? But whatever, it's fine. Anyways, yeah, so I think this is a good game tonight. If you're making some stacks, definitely go Rangers 1, Sabres 1. They're both in good spots tonight. All right, so flipping over, Panthers, Jackets. So the Panthers are playing their 3rd game of the season tonight. It's definitely going to be interesting to monitor. I'm very curious to how Duclair is going to play. In terms of minutes, power play minutes, everything like that. You guys know I was pretty high on Duclair this season. I'm still holding him in my leagues. Just the sample hasn't been there for the Panthers yet, where, we're seeing Duclair, okay, he's playing 17 minutes a night now. So, yeah, going to have some Panthers one tonight. They're still really cheap. I don't think we're going to see Duclair at that price tag for much longer. For Hagee had a couple goals the other game. I just think they're a super good value stack tonight, and the minutes are definitely going to be there. Even if the minimum 16, I'm fine with that. And then Panthers too. They're kind of underwhelming, to be honest. They don't project too well. I don't mind Hornqvist at 4K just because he's on the top power play unit. But when I was looking at last game, they were only playing 14, 15 minutes, and that kind of scares me if I'm paying 14.3 for a stack. I just think that you need to be playing at least 17 plus minutes a night for me. But I'm going to get to a little bit. I don't mind the Blue Jackets. I just think that it's a really tough matchup. I think the Jackets are a lot better defensively than people give them credit for. So I'm going to have a little bit of Panthers 1 and not too much of Panthers 2. And on the defensive side, the prices are just way too inflated for me here. I don't mind Mackenzie Weegar. He plays a bunch of minutes, but I did like him better at 3,500 than at 4,200. And I just think Ekblad's way too overpriced at 6,500 given the tough matchup. And I can't see myself getting into any Keith Yandel tonight. And Bobrovsky at 7,500 is not bad. I'm going to have a little bit of Bobrovsky. But I just think, again, the Panthers are kind of weak defensively. And I just think that there's better matchups on the slate if I'm paying up 14,000 plus tonight.
Yeah, I agree. I like Bobrovsky for his price. I think he's relatively cheap, against a Blue Jackets team who isn't really known for their offense, but they've been scoring as of late. So we'll see. I still think he's a good play. I still consider him an elite goaltender, and for 7,500, it's a pretty cheap price. It's I'd rather take him over Shesterkin or Ullmark or something like that. Obviously, I don't know how I feel about Keith Yandel. At 4,800s, I don't think his minutes are quite.
Played 16, 17 minutes.
Yeah.
Too much.
He does get power play one time though. Ekblad's a little bit pricey, but I feel like I have to get one of them, especially because I think I'm going to go with maybe one or two Panthers power play stacks here, just because I really like when Barkov, Huberdeau are on a line together. So it's tough to get to either of these lines when you've got Alex Wenberg. Actually, Alex Wenberg used to be. Do you remember when he was popping off? Was he on Columbus? He was on Columbus.
Power play 1. He was min price, scoring 3 goals a night. It was crazy.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but so maybe I'll get to a little bit of line 2 there. But like you said, for 4,300, that's expensive. Even though Huberdeau was on that line, and Hornqvist is priced up at. I guess he's not really priced up, but it's still expensive for Hornqvist, I think, just because of recency bias.
Fair enough. Kevin's going to answer a few questions here in chat. Sorry, guys. We're just trying to manage this 13-game slate, getting through it, and then ensuring that we're answering all your questions. Is Laff a stream play tonight? Yeah, I don't mind that as a stream play. Stahl one-off, won me Sunday, won me early afternoon, Chicago 1. Nice. Start 2, bench 1 tonight. Hellebuck, Gibson, Corpy. Start Hellebuck and probably start Gibson. What's up? What's going on in the channel? How you doing, man? What do you think about Garland getting a point tonight? I don't mind that. I just wish he played more minutes. Gibson has been so good this year. Last night I benched him. He got shut out. Yeah, Gibson's hard to. He's just on a bad team, but he's such a good goaltender. Yeah, more stars for Freddie. Yep. Should I drop Mantha for a D? I like Mantha. I'm sticking with him, so I'm not dropping Mantha. All right. So Blue Jackets. Bunch of changes, not too many changes, but it's different not seeing Dubois up on the first line here. But I do like the Blue Jackets overall as a team tonight. I just think there's a ton of value here. You're paying 11,000 for a first line. No one's above 5K. I'm not too big of an Atkinson fan, but he still does have goal upside. So I'm definitely going to be taking some Blue Jackets 1 tonight. Blue Jackets 2 I also really like. I just think Bjorkstrand is way too cheap at 4,700. He's someone on the Wild where Kevin Fiala has been 6-7K every single night, even though he's been kind of slow. And I would put Bjorkstrand in the same range as him. So you're getting a $2,000 discount on Bjorkstrand. So I definitely do like the Jackets too tonight. I just think the Panthers give up so many scoring chances, so many shots against. It's just a very favorable matchup for the Jackets tonight. And on the defensive side, Seth Jones, 4,300 tonight. Like, I don't know what's happening. I know he hasn't been good, but Seth Jones plays 28 minutes a night. He shoots, he blocks, he has tons of upside for points. Definitely give me some Seth Jones tonight. He's probably one of my favorite D on the slate. Might be like a top 3 owned defenseman for me tonight.
I just question here. Thoughts on Barzal slump? The guy has I think he has 4 points in 5 games, so I wouldn't really call that a slump. I think you're fine staying with Barzal there. Um, but as for the Blue Jackets, your boy Alexander Texier and Oliver Bjorkstrand seeing the second line, I think just based off how you've been hyping up the Frenchman at center there, I think I might get to some Blue Jackets too. I know we've been kind of keeping a close eye on him, and he's somebody that you've mentioned that you're starting to pay a little bit more attention to, or that is seeing a little bit more ice time. So I might get to some Jackets too. I like how Torts will like roll all 4 of his lines. Like even though the pricing isn't like priced like a top line, I still think it's a good contrarian play. Cam Atkinson likes to shoot the puck a lot on the first line. I don't know how much of them I'm going to get to, but they do have some good expected goals for, even though it's a small sample size. So as for the D, I love Jones. I love Werenski at that price. Like that's ridiculously cheap. I think they're if Jones is 4,300, he's one of the best, if not the best value D on the slate. Um, so I'm definitely going to get to some of him tonight. And then, do we know who starts for Columbus? Let me take a peek right now. I guess it doesn't really matter if it's Merzlikins or if it's
Yeah, I think it's Corpusalo.
Korpisalo.
That's my guess.
Yeah, it's still a solid pick.
Yep.
So I'm good with going to either of those goalies.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely some mispricing here. But, we're going to take a bunch of Jones tonight, and he's going to have the bagel. So we'll see. Flyers Devils. So we had someone mention in the chat that they were doing a parlay with the Flyers tonight. I think they're in a really good spot, especially with Blackwood out. We have confirmation that Blackwood is still out. But assuming he is, I think the Flyers are in a really good spot tonight. This first line has been pretty good. Like with Couturier out, it seems like Hayes has definitely taken a big step up and has been producing a lot. So I definitely don't mind the Flyers one tonight. I just think it's too favorable of a spot for them. The second line here, I don't mind. They're really cheap. They're good filler stack. I'm just not sure about the minutes. I mean, we do have them slotted as line 2, but they could easily be line 3 or line 4 tonight. I think the Flyers just have so much depth that it's very rare you see forwards with over 20 minutes a night. So I don't mind the Flyers as a whole tonight. I think if I'm going anywhere, it's probably going to be the first line. And I could see myself getting a few shares of the third line just because Giroux's at 4,300 and he projects extremely well for us. And on the defensive side, so Provorov is not my favorite defenseman in DraftKings. I just don't think he does enough. He's a guy like we mentioned with Spurgeon where it's just like empty minutes. So, Provorov will play 28 minutes and have a shot and a block, and I'm just like scratching my head. But I love Travis Sanheim tonight. He's a guy that shoots a lot, blocks a lot, and he has goal upside. I think he had 10 goals a couple of years ago. I'm definitely going to have some shares of Sanheim tonight. It's hard to ignore him at that price tag, and he's playing first pairing now, so he's going to see a ton of minutes in a pretty favorable matchup against the Devils. And I think it's Hart tonight. I think I read it was Hart starting. We do have Elliott here, but the thing with the goaltenders, guys, is something I want to really stress is majority of the time, like the backup goalie and the starting goalie don't have too big of a difference for DraftKings. And there's only a few teams where there's a big outlier, like the Devils with Scott Wedgwood and Blackwood. I just think that, even if we talk about Brian Elliott and we're saying that he's good, and if it's Hart starting, that means Hart's also good tonight. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, it's definitely tough, especially with just the way things are this year and the amount of rotation that we're seeing between goalies and just the schedule in general. Like sometimes, especially with all the COVID protocol as well, like it's kind of tough to keep track, especially when we don't usually get confirmation until like 10 minutes before the game starts sometimes. So just always keep an eye on that. But like Mike said, there shouldn't be too much variation in terms of if Elliott's starting versus if Hart is starting. Like it's the Flyers' depth that's their strength and from the defensive side. But I do like Sanheim at 3,300. I think he's a great price. Blocks, like you said, just shoots a lot. That Giroux Patrick Konechny line looks pretty enticing to me, especially if they don't get the matchup against Hughes and they're up against like Zajac or Zaka's line. I'm probably off of the second line. I don't think Joel Farabee is what he's being made out to be by some people right now. And then Scott Lawton there also is not too enticing as well. But I might have some Flyers one as well. JVR has been solid off the start here, and Voracek has seen a lot more success playing with guys like Hayes and Van Riemsdyk than he was on the third line previously when Couturier was back in the lineup. So give me some Flyers tonight for sure.
Yeah, they look good. On the Devils side, there's not too much to talk about. I know Hughes has been good, and I get it. It's just such a hard matchup against the Flyers, and I think on a 13 game slate, you kind of have to pick your spots. And this just isn't a spot that I like too much tonight. Paying 13-4 for a first line that's playing against the Flyers, who are one of the best defensive teams in hockey. They're probably going to match up against the Hayes line, which is a very tough matchup. Hayes is one of the top shutdown centers in the league. I just think the Devils are going to have a hard time breaking out of their zone and breaking into the Flyers zone. Knowing my luck, the Devils are going to be super good tonight, but I just can't see myself getting into too much New Jersey here. But yeah, PK Subban, 4,200 tonight. It's a good price. He plays a lot of minutes. And I think just what you're hoping out of him is, he gets you the shot block bonus and maybe 2-3 shots and pays up 2x, maybe 3x value. But I don't mind Subban. I've had a lot of questions about Ty Smith. And I think just the biggest thing I want to stress with Ty Smith is, yeah, he has 4 assists in the last 4 games, but he's only playing like 11 minutes. So I would just be careful. I wouldn't drop, a player on your team that's on power play 1 and is playing 23 minutes for a guy that's only playing 11. So just be careful with Ty Smith tonight, guys. I think he might be a little high owned.
Yeah, it's a tough matchup for the Devils for sure, but I think I'm gonna get to probably just one Devils power play 1 stack. I think it's kind of hard to ignore the heater that Jack Hughes looks like he's on right now, and Ty Smith is 3,700, so that'll make them cheap, right? So I might have one just to be like contrarian. I think they're going to go under owned, and I still think they might see some success even on the power play. So that's probably where I'm going if I'm going anywhere at all with the Devils tonight. Subban at 4,200, like he plays a lot, obviously. I don't think he's on power play 1 though. It's Ty Smith now on power play.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. So Mike's a huge minutes guy. Normally with D, if it's somebody like Yossi where he's just like absolutely shooting and blocking a bunch, I'm good with it. But if again, you just gotta be careful of those empty minutes. I actually have. Let me look at how Subban's been doing as of late. Yeah, it's showing he hasn't had a shot. Oh wait, he had 6 shots actually the game before, but he threw up a donut last game. So for 4,200, I don't think that's the worst price, right? Like I think if he's playing that many minutes, it's gonna be he's gonna have a lot of opportunity to get shots like he likes to do and stuff like that. And whoever, if it's Scott Wedgwood in goal, he's probably my 10-foot pole goalie today.
Nice.
I just if Blackwood's still listed, he's supposed to be back. He's on the COVID list right now, so he's supposed to be back at the end of the week. But if Scott Wedgwood is starting, then good luck, Devils.
Yeah. Just gonna answer a few questions here. Korpisalo or Saros? I'd probably start Saros. Will D'Angelo bounce back? I don't think so. Actually, I'm D'Angelo's probably one of my biggest drop candidates right now. I don't know. What's up, boys? Happy to hear Fiala's back on the top line. Hell yeah, man. I picked him up 2 days ago or 3 days ago, so I'm happy. Sit one, Rust, Oshie, Nylander. Probably Oshie. Do you think shipping out Larkin or Monahan or Barzal for Zibanejad? I would say, probably Barzal. I like Larkin a lot. Fiala top line, yep. Damn, that 10-foot pole. Should I start Iafallo or Gurionov? Probably Gurionov. They're in a good matchup tonight. All right. If you guys haven't hit that like button yet, feel free to do so. We have 43 of you guys in here right now, so definitely just helps us with the algorithm a little bit, get more people in the stream. Share the DraftKings knowledge with the larger demographic. All right, Islanders Capitals. So you guys know I love my Islanders one. They burn me all the time, but I'm gonna go back to them. It's so hard to ignore their crazy 5-on-5 numbers. They are priced up pretty considerably today, especially with Eberle at 5,700. I don't like too much, but I'm going to be getting some Islanders one tonight. I just think it's too hard to ignore this lineup, or this matchup, sorry, and how good they are 5-on-5. I hope Vanacek is starting again tonight. I just think he's a underwhelming goaltender, and the Islanders are definitely going to take advantage of it. Line 2 here, I think, Beauvillier is questionable, so we're going to have to keep an eye out for that. But if he's playing, this Islanders 2 line is very good tonight. They're probably one of my favorite lines. They correlate extremely well. If one of them scores, it's a high chance that the other ones also get points on the goals. And that's something that's really important for DraftKings and for fantasy too. So definitely going to have some Islanders too if Beauvillier is playing. And on the defense side, Ryan Pulock down to 4,500 tonight. He was the GOAT last year. I remember some nights like Pulock would get an assist, 5 blocks, 5 shots, and I'm just smiling. I'll never forget leaving that exam room, and I had I'll never forget leaving the exam room. Carolina 1 had like 5 full line goals, and then Pulock had like 35 points on D for me, and I was like in first and just, super pumped. But yeah, Pulock, definitely like him tonight. I think it's Varlamov starting tonight. Sorokin had a decent game actually in their last outing, but I'm gonna have some Varlamov tonight too. And Scott Mayfield, 2,800. That's pretty good value there, 2,800. He's a shot block guy. Capitals are notorious for being a team that likes to walk in the zone and just rip shots, even with Ovechkin out. So yeah, definitely give me some Islanders 1, Islanders 2 tonight, as well as Pulock and Mayfield.
Yeah, Islanders 1 are great. And like I said, whenever I don't take them, they burn me. So I just have to keep taking them, and eventually it'll hit. So I actually really like the second line too. We've seen their prices come down, which they were up at I think Beauvillier was
they were more expensive than the first line at some point in the season, like day 2 or day 1.
Yeah, wild. And so I'm happy to see their price come down. I think again it's a great play in a very depleted Capitals team. Like Tom Wilson's not even in tonight because he's suspended. So give me some Islanders tonight. I think it's a great look against a Capitals team, especially with no Samsonov in net. But yeah, Ryan Pulock at 4,500. That's a great play. You also have Noah Dobson, who's 3,800, who's also seeing power play one time. He had 22 minutes last game. The game before he had 7 blocks. So he might be a sneaky play looking forward.
I don't think he's sneaky anymore. And Devils for Cup just wrote in the chat, like he was like 20% owned in the last DK's slate, and he's going to be high owned tonight too. So be careful playing Dobson.
Yeah, just like a cheap option if you want to get to some Islanders one and you don't quite, and you want to pay up for a D or something like a Yossi or a Burns. You can get that still power play 1 correlation if you get Noah Dobson. So at 3,800 versus Pulock for 45. But like Mike said, Pulock was the GOAT last year, so hopefully he gets back into form.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think regardless who starts for the Islanders, it doesn't really matter. It looks like it's Varlamov again tonight. Sorokin's been kind of bad. I haven't been keeping too much tabs on him, but he was supposed to be pretty. He was high on some guys' lists for Calder and stuff too. But Varlamov looks like he's getting the starts tonight, so definitely give me some of him as well.
Yeah, I think it was that Pete Jensen from NHL had him as the number 1 Calder. I didn't even consider him. He just wasn't on my radar at all, especially with Varley there.
It's rare to see a goalie get the Calder too, right?
Rare. All right, Capital side here. So they're a completely new team. You've seen a bunch of new players, a bunch of lineup changes. I don't mind Capitals 1 tonight. It is a really tough matchup against the Barzal line. They are priced up pretty high for my liking. I think it's just hard because Backstrom doesn't shoot a lot and he's 6,200, so you're really reliant on him getting a few assists. With Ovi not there, I feel like that kind of depletes his value a little bit. So I'm not going to be too high on Capitals 1. Capitals 2 here though, Connor McMichael, the big prospect coming up. Former, I think he was a London Knight. Could be wrong. I think I saw him play last year. Him and Liam Foodie. It was pretty scary to watch actually. I think it was them against the 67s. It was like Marco Rossi, Jack Quinn, Kevin Ball. That was a pretty good game. Sorry, I just swore. Dropped a big F-bomb on stream, but whatever. So yeah, I don't mind Caps too tonight. 8,800. You know, for a second line that's going to be playing 15 to 18 minutes potentially at that price, I think it's super favorable. And there are a lot of expensive lines tonight we'll get to them, but Vegas 1, Colorado 1. And you're going to have to find lines to stack with them that you can pay up with for a valuable defenseman. So definitely see myself getting to Capitals 2 tonight. And on the defensive side, so John Carlson, 7,100. It's a tough matchup, but he projects well for us. He's been good. I just don't know how I want to play John Carlson given the absence of Ovi right now. I feel like his value increases when Ovi's playing. So, and this is my sneaky defenseman of the night, guys. Are you ready for this? Justin Schultz. So the only thing I don't like is he had a goal and assist last game. So people are going to be on him. But I think the biggest thing to keep in mind is Schultz actually played power play 1. And he played the same minutes as John Carlson in the first power play. And he's 3,100. And he played like 26 minutes last night or 2 nights ago. So I'm going to be all over Justin Schultz tonight. I just think it's too hard to ignore 3,100D on the Capitals' top power play and on the first pairing. So I think just with the absence of Orlov, Schultz takes a huge step forward tonight. And I'm going to be all over him, I think.
Yeah, I said Wilson was suspended. Shane caught me red-handed. He is actually hurt. He's going through like this weird injury thing. He missed Sunday's skate as well, and he's questionable for today. So just keep an eye on that as the lock comes in, obviously. So I thought he was suspended. That's what happened, but my information was wrong. So thank you, Shane, for pointing that out for me. But yeah, I had no clue Justin Schultz is on the first power play. I think that's a great punt defenseman, if anything. Playing the same time as Carlson too, like that's always a bonus for literally 4K less. It's a great punty play. So outside of that, I can't see myself getting to too much caps here. I know Connor McMichael's a talented player, but especially if they match up against that second Islanders line, I just think that Nelson line is just going to walk all over them. Even though Eller is a pretty good centerman in itself. That top line back to Moshe Vrana, it can score a couple goals, but like they're pretty pricey, and I think I would rather go in just a different pick for tonight. In all honesty, I just think it's very favorable for the Islanders, especially the 5-on-5 matchup with Barzal if he sees Backstrom's line. So I'm all in on the Islanders tonight. I don't think I'll have too many caps. I'll have the odd John Carlson just as like a one-off D, and then maybe some Justin Schultz, like you said.
All right, who do you prefer, Texay or Puljujärvi tonight? Oof.
I think Puljujärvi
I would say Texay, but they're both good tonight. Thought Wilson was hurt. Man, Shane's always on the ball. Shane actually got my player of the day question yesterday. It was like probably the hardest one I've asked, but you got it on like guess 6 or 7, I think. Or no, maybe you joined late. I don't remember. But sit 1, Nelson, Schmaltz, or Wheeler. Probably Schmaltz. Is Zach Hyman worth holding on to? Yeah, I would say so. Is Nelson worth holding on to? Yep. Have you heard anything about Pasta Saturday? That's what I was reading. He's skating. He looks good too. Wow. Yeah, 4th round for Pasta is a joke. I just can't believe people were passing up on him. Bench 1, Grubauer versus San Jose, Varlamov versus Washington, or Binnington. Probably Binnington. I don't like Binnington at all. I think he's so overrated. I would sit Binnington. All right, Bruins Penguins. This is going to be a really fun game to watch. I don't think it'll be too fun for DraftKings. Both teams are in a relatively hard matchup defensively. I'm going to be getting to some Bruins 1. They're just really, really pricey tonight, and I do like them a lot more with Pasternak on that line, and even though that brings the price up to like 25K, but whatever. I just can't see myself getting into too much of this game at all. I just think that, there's better matchups on this big slate tonight, and I know this is going to be the 5-3 game, and I'm just going to kick myself for it, but I'm not going to be too high on the Bruins or the Penguins tonight at all. But I do like Bruins 2 a little bit. I think they're priced very fair, and their minutes have been relatively good. So I'm going to be getting to some Bruins 2 as just a filler stack at 11.5. I just think it's a really good price. And on the defensive side, so I think Grzelcyk's out again tonight. I don't mind Zaboral, first round pick in that crazy 2015 draft. I think he saw a fair amount of minutes, but he's just a punt defenseman. But I mean, again, going back to the Justin Schultz, like I would rather just pay up 200 extra for him. And then I'm assuming it's Rask starting tonight. He's a pretty good option. I just think the Penguins have been struggling a little bit, and I think the shot volume is going to be there. So I could see myself getting to some Rask tonight.
Yeah, it looks like it's Rask in goal, as well as be careful. There, Grzelcyk, I still think is listed as day-to-day, so he might not get in the lineup either. But Zaboral for 2,900, like again, a good punt D option. You just got to be careful of his minutes and stuff, right? Obviously, but if Grzelcyk's out, then he should see a little bit of a bump. I actually like the Bruins a lot today. I think the Pens are still pretty poor defensively, and I love the matchup versus Tristan Jarry in net tonight. So what I did last time when the Bruins were playing is I did like a 2-2-2 stack where I just had Marchand Bergeron. Because I was looking at DeBrusk and it didn't seem like he was contributing anything in terms of like any kind of production with that top line, even though they were all skating together. So that's what I did with the Bruins, and I won some money off of that, thankfully. So maybe that could be a play for some of you guys tonight. I'll definitely consider going that. But like Mike said, they are pretty priced high, and for 4,300, it makes it hard to get DeBrusk in with that top line. But the third line's also pretty solid as a filler, as well as the second line. They're both pretty cheap, so I think that's definitely a good matchup, as we've seen the Malkin line kind of struggle out of the gate here. So if Berge matches against Crosby, then I think either of the Bruins second or third line are good options. You on mute, Mike?
Sorry. I actually took a share of the Bruins' third line, and I had Trent Frederick, I don't know how to pronounce his name, and he was 0.06% owned in the mini-max. So I might have been the only person to take him.
The only guy.
Yep, and he did nothing. Sorry, we're getting hammered with some questions right now. Sorry, guys. We're just trying to manage both. Will Dahlin ever get a point again? Yeah, he's going to get a point tonight. Promise you. I guess Kucherov first. Yeah.
Score again in his career.
Yeah, Kucherov was the answer. I had a couple of Couture guesses. He had 30 points. So if we were to go back a year prior, Couture would have been number one. Drop Jerry and keep Grubauer and Fleury. I would keep Jerry, but Werenski versus Florida or Yossi versus Chicago for sure. Did you answer my Hoffman question? What did you ask, Sam? Sorry, man. Is Hoffman? Yeah, I would hold on to him. Like, it just depends on who's available in your league on the free agency. But I know a lot of other people have been talking about dropping Hoffman. Pick two tonight: Bobrovsky, Kemper, and Binnington. Probably Bob and Kemper. I don't like Binnington. Thoughts on Ty Smith, boys? Just monitor his minutes. He's only playing like 15 to 18 a night, so just be careful. Rust is PP1. Yeah, I like Rust tonight. Do I drop Dahlin for Rasmus Anderson or Gerard? I would keep Dahlin over those guys. Shattenkirk or Martinez? Probably Martinez. All right. Sorry, guys. Trying to manage both here. So, Penguins side. Penguins won really expensive tonight. They should be going up against that Bergeron line. It's going to be a really tough matchup for them. I just wish they were a little bit cheaper. So, I'm not going to be too high on the Penguins one. I just think there's better spots. The Bruins are such a tough matchup. Bergeron's such a hard player to play against. They're really sound defensively. They have elite goaltending. So probably going to be off Penguins 1 tonight. But look at this. Look at this Penguins 2. Evgeny Malkin at 5,200. Like, I know he hasn't been good. And I get it. But it's Evgeny Malkin. I'm going to have this line tonight. They are way, way too cheap. They might be one of my highest owned lines. I don't know. I just think the value is too hard to ignore. I'm going to do some monitoring before lock. I just want to make sure that Kapanen is on that line because we did see Tanev there for a bit, and that I don't like that as much. But definitely give me some Penguins too tonight. I just think it's too hard to ignore that price, Malkin. I think if we were to go check right now and go all the way back the last 2 years, Malkin was not under 6K one time. So And Penguins decor here, I'm not going to have any of them, I don't think. I just can't see myself getting to Letang. I actually know what. Okay, I'll retract that statement. I'll get to some Letang tonight, but I can't. It's not a D that I'm prioritizing. I just think there's other D at that price in a better matchup tonight. And then Tristan Jarry at 7,600. It's a tough matchup against the Bruins, so I won't have too much of him tonight.
Shocker hearing those words come out of your mouth, Mike. No, I think I agree with the Letang take. He doesn't do enough peripherals wise for me to warrant a price around 6K, even though he's fairly consistent with his assists. But again, like I think there's better options on the slate tonight in terms of like higher quality D. So but yeah, Malkin under 6K. We talked about this actually on the podcast. So if you guys want access to that as well, make sure you subscribe to our Patreon. We're going to be providing a lot of value content for you in terms of, like, we just recorded a podcast yesterday talking about kind of like the state of the NHL and where we're kind of going in terms of like fantasy options and stuff. So definitely check that out if you guys are interested, as well as a bunch of other projection options for the rest of the season and stuff going forward. So definitely check that out if you're interested. It's just on our Patreon there. And I think outside of that second line of the Penguins just being 11, like what? That's so cheap.
I don't think we'll see that again.
That's ridiculous. But I think Kapanen makes the most sense of being on that line. Hopefully they don't put somebody like Tanev or McCann there. Just to give it a little more offensive upside. But Crosby, Gensel, Russ, like that's an expensive line, especially if they see the Bergeron matchup. I know it's Crosby, guys, but Bergeron is one of the better defensive forwards in the NHL. So these two have been going head to head for a long time now, and it's usually they just kind of cancel each other out. So I probably won't get to too much Pens 1, but I definitely like it's hard to ignore that Pens 2 price.
Yeah, I agree. 11K for a second line with Malkin on. It's impossible to ignore. All right, Oilers Jets. This is an interesting game. So I don't know if you've watched the last game. I think it was a 4-3 final. It was like 1-1 with the last 5 minutes left in the game. It ended 4-3. So if you bet the Oilers in regulation, good for you. If you bet the over in this game, good for you, because you were probably biting your nails until the very end. But yeah, Oilers won tonight. Puljujarvi up on the first line. I'm gonna have some of them. They just project well. I just think Puljujarvi is going to be really, really high owned. And I would say it's probably good chalk. The Jets 1 is just a very favorable matchup for any line. They're terrible defensively. And this line should be dominated on the ice majority of the time. So I'm going to have some Oilers 1. I love that Puljujarvi brings their price down. I wish Nugent Hopkins was a bit cheaper. But yeah, I'm definitely going to have some of them tonight. There's just a lot of good value options to match them with. And then the Nugent or the Draisaitl line. So when Nuge was on this line, they were really good last year, and they have been struggling a bunch as a full line. And you can see with their expected numbers, they have probably one of the highest sample sizes with 77 minutes played. Seems like they've been actually getting worked, and this Jets 2 line is pretty favorable. I like them a lot tonight as well. So I can see myself being underweight on Oilers 2 and being overweight on the Oilers 1. I think they're in a good matchup tonight. And on the defensive side, so something to keep in mind, guys, I'm not sure if anyone has Tyson Barrie on their team, but he didn't play on the top power play last game. Darnell Nurse did. So I don't know if it's going to stick for this game, but Barrie's been struggling. His ownership's been high. I'm going to be underweight on Barrie tonight and well overweight on Nurse. I just think Nurse is such a good fit, like DraftKings defenseman, and he's a pretty good real-life defenseman too. I think he was a 4th overall pick. It's just going to be hard for me to ignore Nurse at that price. He's similar to a Seth Jones for me tonight.
Yeah, I looked at that as well, just because I wanted to see if Puljujarvi was getting any power play one time, just with the correlation of McDavid. But Darnell Nurse at 4,300, power play 1 with McDavid and Draisaitl, like that might be my favorite D tonight, just because of the price, right? But yeah, it looks like Draisaitl's line isn't doing too hot there. Definitely something to keep an eye on. Like, that was a line that saw a lot of success when I believe it was Nuge on that line with them last year.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, so that's curious to see. I wonder if the Oilers will go back to that, just because James Neal's back in the lineup now. So they have a little bit more options in terms of forwards that they can shuffle. But it seems like they want to keep McDavid and Nuge together. And for that price, even though Puljujärvi brings that price down, I still think it's a good option. Like this game I wouldn't be surprised if there was like 7 goals scored in this game again. Just because both teams are pretty bad defensively and pretty good offensively. So, like, that's the entire narrative of the North Division right now. I think this game should have fireworks, or it'll be like when the Oilers played the Leafs and it was like a 2-1 game. But I like both the Oilers lines. I know Draisaitl's line's been struggling, so I'll probably have a little bit less of them, especially no Yamamoto on the power play, sad face emoji. But I think Oilers won are a good play tonight. Like they're going to be high owned, obviously, so keep an eye on that as well.
Yeah.
And I think it's Koskinen in net for the Oilers tonight. I hope it's Koskinen, because if it's Stuart Skinner, I might just take 60% Jets one.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, so the Jets side, the Jets are extremely expensive tonight. At 21.5, it's really high price. And I do like them. I just think there's better value on the slate. It's going to be hard to find lines to pair with them. Like, I think I would rather just go to the Oilers side at $2,000 cheaper, in my opinion. But they do correlate really well. Scheifele, if he scores, it's a high chance that Connor and Wheeler are also going to be part of that goal. So that's something I do look for and something I do like. But I do think they're going to spend a bunch of time in their own end. Every game I watch, they struggle to break out. They're just making bad plays, costly turnovers. So I can see myself being a little bit underweight on Jets one tonight. They've been getting a bunch of ownership recently, so something to keep watch for. But Jets too, they've been clicking. Their 5-on-5 numbers have been good, even though it is a small sample size. I think it's 5 games, but they've been good. Ehlers has been surprisingly very good this year. I didn't think he would be up to this caliber, but he looks very, very good. Every game I watch, he is flying on the ice. He's part of every play. So I'm going to be pretty high on the Jets too tonight. I just think it's hard to ignore that 5-on-5 matchup against the Draisaitl line that's been struggling. I think Koskinen is a little bit worn out now. He's played every game. I can't see Stuart Skinner getting the start at all. And if he does, that only justifies why I'm going to be higher on the Jets too tonight. So definitely give me some of them. And then Jets D, I don't know what to do with them anymore. I don't know what to do with Jets D anymore. I just wish Pionk was power play 1, and that's it. Oilers had a pretty good penalty kill last year. I think they were top 5 in the league. I like DeMello as a punt defenseman. He was really good at 2,500. I know if you go look at his fantasy points per game, it's pretty high, so his ownership is going to be there. But I don't mind DeMello. And then, again, it's just hard for me to ignore Hellebuck at 7,700, but it is a really tough matchup tonight. So, Jets 2 tonight, guys.
Jets too, yeah, they've been really good as of late. I think, and that's partially because of Ehlers has just been absolutely phenomenal as well, like you said. But I love how Connor's on the top line now. I think that just works a lot better with having 2 kind of setup guys in Scheifele and Wheeler. So I'll have some Jets 1 to sure. I'll probably be underweight on them, but I like your take on Jets too. They've shown that they can be very good. Look at their expected goals versus their expected goals against. And again, it's a small sample size, but we've seen Ehlers is just on a tear right now. So give me some of that Jets too for sure, especially if they see the Draisaitl matchup. And then the D is just like Morrissey 4,500. I don't like his price.
Yeah, I never know what to do.
4,500. And I would just, especially with the Oilers, like I think they're still one of the better penalty killing teams in the NHL. It's tough because these D, like Pionk's good, but like he doesn't correlate with power play 1, right? So I just think the Jets D overall are they're weak defensively. So I'm probably off their D. I think there's just better options. Like I'd rather take Nurse at 4,300 than any of those D. And then Connor and Ned again. It's Connor, guys. Like even though he's going up against the Oilers, he's going to see a lot of shots. But this is your Vezina Trophy winner last year. So at 7,700, I think that's a good price.
I agree. All right, just to answer a couple questions. Buy low on Gensel. Definitely buy low on Gensel. I like Gensel a lot. Thoughts on Couture. I like Couture too. My thoughts on him is just, I think the San Jose is a terrible defensive team, but you're not really looking at for a forward, you're not looking at any defensive stats at all. And I think they're pretty good offensively, given they have Karlsson and Burns on D. So I don't mind Couture at all. Holtby, I don't like one bit. I think Vancouver's terrible defensively, and I think eventually it's going to be Demko starting for them. Pionk or Spurgeon? I would say Spurgeon probably, unless Pionk gets his power play one time back. I don't know. It's hard. Who could I trade Geo for? Oof. I don't know. It depends on your league, man. Like Seth Jones, maybe Werenski, maybe Dougie Hamilton, who hasn't played a lot yet this year. Something like that. Should I start Leonard tonight? Yeah, I would. Would you trade Toffoli for Ekblad? Yeah, I'm fine with that. Can you review the roster I sent to you on Twitter? Yeah, I'll get the guy who runs our Twitter to review it. Even though the Kings split with St. Louis, they were all over them. Kings won. Yeah, I'm going to talk about them right now, actually. All right, guys. All right. I'll get into the Kings. I'll jump into the Kings. Yeah, Kings won, man. They've been good. We see Kempe up here on the first line. I think he's first line power play as well. They all have that correlation. I just think the biggest thing for me tonight is that the Wild are a really good defensive team. Like, I think they're actually one of the best defensive teams in hockey. They limit scoring chances, they limit shots, they limit Corsi, everything. So it is a really tough matchup, but they are sneaky tonight. I just think they're a little bit less sneaky because of the price, right? So I think at $15K, it's hard for me to justify taking them in this matchup over some other lines at that price, especially like Islanders 2, for example, or Winnipeg 2 as well. So I am going to get to a little bit of the Kings 1 tonight, but it's hard for me to be overweight on them. They have been scoring a decent amount, but I just think the Wild is such a tough matchup tonight for them. No, I'm just going to quickly skim over Kings 2 and 3. I just think it's too hard for them tonight. I can't see myself getting to any of them. And on the D side here, Doughty plays the most minutes in the league. And I just think that, again, the matchup's too hard and the price is too high for Doughty here.
So I'll start with Kings 1 because honestly, Kopitar has 10 points in 6 games. Like, what is it? Are we in 2018 again? I'm so lost as to what's happening. And we always look over this line because we're always like, oh, we don't like the matchup. Oh, we don't like the matchup. They're playing Colorado. We don't like the matchup. They are priced. I will admit that. But in terms of ownership, they're always overlooked, especially on a 13-game slate. And I know it's a we keep saying it's a bad matchup, but like it's tough. I want to get to some. I really do, just because they've been hot lately, but I'll probably still be under the field as well. I will get to some of them tonight. I'll make sure of that, just because Kopitar's absolutely lights out apparently right now. So I'll get to some Kings 1, but other than that, I'm probably not touching too much on the Kings side.
Get that poll out for this game.
I already did my 10 foot.
I know. Goalie. So the Wild side here, a couple people mentioned it in chat today. So Fiala is first line tonight. I really like that. I think it helps him more in season long than Draftkings. He is, and I mentioned Bjorkstrand earlier, how I find they're kind of similar players in the sense of they're high shooters and they power play 1 and they're known for goal scoring. And Bjorkstrand's 4,700 in a better matchup tonight. So I do like Fiala in season long, but in DraftKings tonight, I just can't see myself being overweight on the Wild. The Kings are way better defensively than people think. I think a lot of people just look at their record and they're like, oh, they're like 1-4. Actually, they're probably over 500. I'm not even sure.
They're 2-2 right now.
Yeah.
2 over.
And I mean, just looking at their roster on paper, you probably think they're pretty poor defensively, but they're actually better defensively than people give them credit for. So I think the Wild's in a decent matchup tonight, and I'm gonna have some. And I know you guys are gonna want me to talk about the third line tonight. They do play a ton of minutes, and X price is in accordance to that at 4,200. They are a pretty good filler stack given the minutes, and they are playing against the Kings' depth, who are really weak. So I could see myself getting to a little bit of Wild 3, but I actually wouldn't be surprised if we saw ownership there tonight. And on the defensive side, I like Brodin always at that price, and Spurgeon's 4K tonight, empty minutes, but maybe if the Wild score 2 or 3 power play goals and get Fiala going tonight, that Spurgeon could maybe have a few apples.
Yeah, finally we see Fiala on that top line. Like just a guy that the Wild need to lean on, right? Like he's one of, if not their best player. And I know Kaprizov has had a good start, but it probably won't sustain over the course of the season. But Fiala is definitely their guy. So it's tough if they see that Kopitar matchup. Then I'm kind of on the fence about it, but I like Fiala a lot. Even though he's 6,100, I think he's definitely a good play tonight as well. Given the fact that the Kings' defense is still pretty bad, even though they are better defensively than people give them credit for. Mike's making a face right now.
I just got offered his Halak for my 5th round pick and my 7th round pick, and I just laughed because I'm like, why would I want a backup goalie for my 5th and 7th round pick? That is why I made a face.
Okay. You can never tell, especially if somebody doesn't smile. Mike is just all over them. Listen to the podcast, you guys they'll figure that one out. Matt Dumber 4,900, always a good play. I like him. Brodin at 3,400, always a good play. I like him. And then maybe some, depending on who starts. No, it's Capo Kakinen. I am off the Wild goaltending tonight. Andrew Hammond is the backup, so I don't think he'll be starting. But I'm off the Wild.
I just got a message. You want Halak as a 3rd goalie for almost free, even though I have to give up my 5th round pick and there's 4 keepers. So that's my 1st round pick basically. Come on.
Jeez.
Come on.
Do you know if Kapanen will play on the top line today? He's with Malkin's line. He's with
apparently
Malkin and Zucker. Blew both games against Mini with a 2-goal lead. Yeah, that's a tough one. Pick up Kempe or Iafallo in fantasy. Like they've had a good start.
Iafallo.
Yeah, he'd be the one.
20 plus minutes. Well. I think Kempe only plays like 16.
Someone just traded Eric Sneck for Nick Suzuki. What league are you in?
Someone get me in these leagues.
Besser or Zadorov / Falk?
It depends.
I think it's Besser.
Yeah,
I think
it's Besser.
Too much of a question there. Should I set Fiala for somebody else then? Yeah, I probably would. I like Fiala in this matchup. Like they're going up against the Kings, and he seems to be starting to produce at his normal rate.
Might stream Kopitar. Why is Kopitar even available in your league?
Yeah.
Anyways, we'll move on. move on. We have to get through this. So Blackhawks Predators tonight. So we saw the Pius Suter hat trick. I know DeBrincat, he's supposed to be out tonight, or I'm not sure if it's confirmed yet, or he's just like another guy that's on COVID protocol. It's going to be announced right before game time that he's playing. So I mean, it's hard to judge what I want to do with the Blackhawks tonight, the first line. So I'm just going to skim over them. But like we saw in the Dallas series, the Predators gave up like 8 power play goals. So I think 8 out of 10 Dallas's goals were on the power play. So I would probably look at just taking a Blackhawks power play stack tonight, given how bad the Predators have been on the penalty kill. But look at the second line, man. So 40 minutes, they have a 4 expected goals for. I know it's not too high of a sample size, but it's a favorable matchup for them tonight. And I can definitely see myself getting into a little bit of them, given their price, but I don't think they've been playing too many minutes, so I'll have to dig a little bit more into that. And on the defensive side, I am completely out on everybody. And the goalie, I'm probably out as well, unless he's 6,500 again tonight, Kakinen. Or, no, I forgot what the other guy's name is. It's close to the Minnesota goalie.
It looks like Malcolm Subban's in for the Blackhawks tonight. Definitely off their D, especially with Boquist not being PP1. It's Andrew Shaw on the top line with Pius Suter and Patrick Kane. So I don't know how I feel about that either, but the second line is definitely something to keep an eye on. Small sample size though, so I'm probably just fading the Blackhawks altogether.
All right, fair enough. Quick jump over to the Predators tonight. And I think Devils, just mentioned in chat. So this is a game that the Predators need. They got lit up against Dallas. 7-0, and then they lost 3-2. So 10 goals, 2 against in 2 games. And they need to figure it out here. And I think that it's actually beneficial for us tonight that they did have those hard matchup against Dallas, because look at the pricing. So $16K for the Jaff line, the Johansson, Arvidsson, Forsberg line. They're a really, really good 5-on-5 line over the last 2 years, and they're a little weaker this year. But I do like how they're a power play 1. I do like their correlation 5-on-5, so I'm going to have some Predators 1 tonight. It's a very favorable matchup. Predators 2, look at this pricing on them. Like, they're 11K, and again, another favorable matchup against that Strome line. I'm going to have some Predators 2 as well. They're just a really cheap filler stack. And on the defensive side, so Yossi's going to be my number one defenseman tonight. A lot of people are worried about him. I'm not one bit. I know you're not one bit. We know how good Yossi is. We know how good he is in DraftKings. This is the best matchup he's going to have all year. So I hope that if people just go and look at his game log and they shy away from him tonight, it's going to pay dividends for everyone that plays him. I just think it's so hard to ignore this matchup for Yossi tonight. And we have Pekka Rinne here. I wouldn't be surprised if Saros started. And at 8,300, I'll probably get to some Saros just because especially with DeBrincat out, that only hurts them more. And then I don't mind Ekholm. He plays a lot of minutes, 3,900. Good shot, good block guy. So gets the minutes.
Yeah, I think I might have 50% Yossi tonight. I just think it's an absolute slam dunk for him. And we know how good he is as a player, and we keep saying it every week, even though he's kind of not been in his usual form. I'm still going back to him. I will continue to go back to him every single night. What I will say about the second line, though, is for 11K, I think I would be just more inclined to take the Malkin line against the Rangers. Especially
they play Boston.
Boston, excuse me. Yeah, it's just I'd rather have Malkin than Duchesne, and Zucker. Even though they are good statistically, I just think Malkin has more upside at that price, especially. And then, yeah, Preds 1 definitely, especially with, I don't know how good DeBrincat is defensively, but I think that's just a favorable first line matchup and should be a good bounce back game for the Preds. So give me some Rinne as well.
Favorite filler stack, I would say like Predators 2 look good. That Pittsburgh 2 line's also a good filler stack. I have to go back a little bit here, but we'll go through it for you, Mike or Matt. Sorry. Duncan, Keith, or Murphy? Probably Keith for me. Strome has been sneaky good. Yeah, I know he's like weird. I don't know. I wasn't too high on Strome actually this year, but he's been producing. So Kevin Hayes was just traded for Suter points only. I mean, yeah, the Hayes side for sure. If you guys are liking the stream so far, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. We're going to be doing this every day for you guys, except for Sunday, so 6 days a week. If there is like one game slates as well, we're probably not going to be streaming. And I'm streaming every Saturday at night. We can talk fantasy, talk what's going on with your team, what's going on in the league, everything. We also have a Discord we started, so feel free to click the link in the description, join our Discord. We have a lot of people in there, a lot of people talking. It's a lot of fun. And then follow us on Twitter as well, at @fantasy_puck. We're posting all of our updates. We release a video, it'll be posted on there. If there's any major line changes, any last minute goalie starts, everything's going to be all on our Twitter. So @fantasy_puck. All right, let's move on. So Leafs Flames. This is going to be a really fun game to watch. I love, both these teams in that Canadian division are so exciting. So Leafs won here. We see VC up at the top line with Matthews and Marner. I'm not sure how he's going to mesh with them at all. I think VC is a bottom 9 player or bottom 6 player. I don't think he should be in the top 6 role at all. But the Leafs do have Thornton out, who again I also don't think is a top 6 player, but it's fine. But they are priced pretty good here. I think it's very fair. With the minutes that Matthews and Marner play, it's kind of hard to lay off of them. I'm definitely going to have some. They're definitely going to be owned tonight. Matthews always gets a bunch of ownership. Even though it's a large slate, it'll only bring the ownership down a little bit more. So I definitely like Leafs 1 tonight. I love Leafs 2 tonight a lot. I just think it's hard to ignore Willie under 6K and Tavares under 7K. So give me some Leafs 1, Leafs 2 tonight. And on the defensive side, I don't know what to do with Riley anymore, man. I know he had 3 assists last game and he had like 25 points. But he's just not shooting too much. But the minutes are there. The price is still under 6K. And the Flames are a pretty difficult matchup, but I'm going to take some Riley tonight, but I'm definitely not going to be over the field on him at all. And then Muzzin here is decent. And for the goaltending for the Leafs, I never like to take Leafs goaltending at all. They're always priced super high because they are favorites in majority of the games, but I'm not going to be too high on the Leafs goaltending tonight either.
Yeah, I definitely think it'll be a tough game against the Flames. Like we saw a 3-2 win for the Leafs last time, so it was pretty low event. But
Sorry. We skipped the Wings and Stars. We'll get to that, Connor. Sorry about that. Brain's working on like three things right now at once.
you're good. You're good. Lots of time still. Um, yeah, I don't like VC on the top line, but it'll bring the ownership down. Well, Matthews' ownership will probably stay the same as it always does. Same with Marner. But I love the Leafs too. Like Tavares has just had an absolute heater of a start as well. And Willie's been great, and they're both underpriced, I think, still. And Zach Hyman just makes that. I almost call him Zyman there. Hyman just makes that line that much better. I think whatever line Hyman sees in the top six usually has a much higher expected goals for. It's funny how that works, eh? So I think I'll get to some Leafs too, and some Leafs one tonight, but I'll probably be a little underweight on the Leafs one, unless I go with like a power play stack just to get some Matthews and Marner in there. Riley, I agree. Like he's had like the odd like 3-shot game, but other than his 3 assist night the other night, he's been kind of a bust, especially at his price. He was 4,800 last time when he got the 3 assists, and now he's back up to 56. So we'll see if he can just work off of last game and continue to produce. But he is pretty pricey, and I think there's still better D options on the slate tonight. And same thing, I agree with the goalies. I think regardless if Campbell's out now, so it's definitely Freddie starting. But still, it's tough when the Leafs are still letting in goals right, left, and center.
Absolutely. All right, so we have a couple people in chat mentioning this, but Mangiapane, first line, you know how much I love him. I think he's... So I'm going to be making a video, hopefully by the end of this week, about just like midweek pickup suggestions, and he is definitely one of them. So I like him a lot tonight. He meshed really well with Chuck and Backlund last year. They had phenomenal numbers, and I mean, I don't think Lindholm makes it any worse. So definitely going to have some Flames one tonight. I just really like the matchup against the Leafs, who allow a lot of scoring chances and a lot of goals. So give me some Flames one tonight. I also really like Flames 2 tonight. It's just crazy to see how cheap Gaudreau and Monahan are, and they're consistently producing. And they were really good value in a lot of fantasy drafts this year. I know I have Monahan in I think 2 of my 3, and he's been paying great dividends for me. So yeah, definitely like the line 1 and 2 from the Flames tonight. Going to be off the line 3. I'm just not too high on anyone there except for Backlund. I think Backlund's like one of the sneakiest, best third line centers in the league in terms of real life play. Anyways, defensive side, you guys know I'm a big Rasmus Anderson guy. I'm not a Rasmus Anderson guy at 5,200 tonight. I do like the power play one, but I'm not going to be on him too much tonight. I just don't think he projects well enough for us yet. And the sample size is small, but I think for season long, he's definitely an ad, and I'm going to be preaching that until he proves me wrong. So not a Rasmus Anderson guy at 5,200 on DraftKings, but in season long, he's definitely someone I want. I'm not going to have too much Giordano tonight. And Jacob Markstrom, man, he was one of my favorite goalies this year. He was in my must-own goalies list. I like him at 7,700. The Leafs are going to shoot a bunch. And with me taking him, I'm just going to keep my fingers crossed for like a 3-2, maybe a 4-2 win for the Flames tonight.
Yeah, I can't. I thought I heard you say that you didn't like Rasmus Anderson there. It must just have been like my audio that's going on with my headphones. But 5,200 is expensive for the guy. Even though he correlates with power play one, I think the Leafs penalty kill is still pretty good. So it's tough at that price. I agree with you there. Markstrom I like at 7,700. No clue why Gio's still priced up over 6K. Don't ask me about that one. I like line 1 with Mangiapane up there. I think he's definitely warranted a top 6 role with that team. So and even at 3,700, I think that's a good line to go to, especially against a weaker defensive team like the Leafs. And then Gaudreau, Monahan, Simone. Simone kind of gets me a little bit off that line, but I think their price, it just brings the price down, right? So for 14.6, I don't think it's too awful either. Again, against a good matchup against the Leafs. So I'll definitely have some Flames tonight.
I actually skipped over Leafs 3. Mikheyev's 2,700 tonight, and Wayne Simmons power play 1 at 2,600 is not the worst. But yeah, we'll go back up to this Wings and Stars game. It's going to be a quick one, so I'm not excited about the Red Wings at all tonight. I know Bertuzzi has been pretty good. I just think the Stars are such a tough matchup. It's so hard for me to justify playing anyone against the Stars. And if that Mantha Bertuzzi Larkin line's not together, I'm just not interested at all. So I am completely off the Red Wings tonight. I don't know what you're doing with them, but I'm off of them. I'm not even on any of the defense. I can't believe Hronik's 5K against the Stars. And you know the Wings are going to score a bunch tonight, but I'm completely off the Red Wings tonight.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm never usually on the Red Wings unless it's that top line together, like you said. Hronik's price is too high, so I don't even want to get to him. Like I'd rather go for with Dumba at 4,900. So I probably won't get to him as too much either. And then I might have a 20-foot pull on whoever is in net for the Red Wings here.
Yeah, nothing too exciting. Mangiapane, underrated. Yeah, he is. I think he's so good. Go look at his OHL numbers. Anderson or Muzzin for the week. If it's a points league, Anderson. If it's like blocks and shots too, I would probably still say Anderson. Rasmus looked good last game. Yeah, he did. Unreal. Gotta go, boys. Thanks for all the info. Thanks, Matt. See you later, man. I hope you hit tonight, man. I hope you get the nuts stack and win some money. Hints on the top line. Yep, he is. So Stars here. So they don't project well for us. We go off of a certain timeline, and because they weren't too good the last 2 years, our projections are kind of poor for them. But we're definitely going to give them a bump tonight. A very good matchup. They've been playing on the power play. They've been playing a lot more minutes this year. So love the Stars won tonight. They're going to be high owned. I'm not too worried about it. I think it's good chalk. And I also like the Stars too tonight. Tanner Kiro, I think he was. I need to do some more research into him. I forget what Donnie was saying about him, but I think he's not bad. Pavelski, Radulov have been awesome this year. They're seeing a lot of time on the power play as well. I just think the biggest thing you guys need to watch for tonight is how they do 5-on-5. Because from what I know, Dallas got worked by Nashville 5-on-5, and they scored all their goals in the power play. So keep that in mind. Don't get overexcited about taking these Dallas guys tonight. I do know it's a favorable matchup, and I get it. But if they only have 2 or 3 power plays tonight and they capitalize on one, there is a chance it could be like a 2-3-1 game. And you know the Stars haven't produced high offense at all last year. Like all their wins were like 2-1, 3-1, 3-2. And you're going to need the line to score at least 2 or 3 goals at this pricing to become the best stack tonight. So just be careful. And on the defensive side, I loved Lindell last year at 3,400. I'm not paying up 4,900 for him. I'm not paying 6,200 for Klingberg, but I do like Heiskanen at 5,600. He's someone that I would probably split completely down the line with Morgan Riley in terms of my outlook on them, not only for the season, but for DraftKings tonight. I just think he's a very good price at 5,600. And Hudobin is the most expensive goalie tonight. It's the best matchup. They're probably the biggest favorites tonight, so that's understandable.
Yeah, I think I like this matchup a lot for the sake of the slate. I think the Stars are going to be way, way, way too owned just because of recency bias. And I think they look at that matchup and they're like, it's going to be another 7-0 game. But it's hard to me to get to either of these lines. Like, I don't think. Um, again, like we saw the Stars struggle last year in terms of production. It'll be interesting to see. I think if I'm going anywhere, it's line one tonight. I just think Hinson and Guryanov have been good as of late, and they kind of showed that last year as well. So I'd rather take them over the Pavelski Radulov line, and they're just a little bit cheaper as well. But yeah, Heiskanen 5,600, Klingberg at 62. Again, I'd rather go somewhere else for Klingberg's price. Heiskanen, I might get to some just because I think he's good 5-on-5, and it looks like he's just as poised as he was in the playoffs to continue his point production. But again, it's super early. We haven't seen too much of the Stars just because of that whole COVID situation with them. So Kudobin for 8,500, I can't see myself getting to him just because of his price as well. Again, we don't know how this team's going to play. No Sagan, no Jamie Benn, even though I think Jamie Benn is just overrated right now in general. Um, So it's a game that I might fade altogether. I might be under the field for ownership on the first and second line, but I just think there's better options tonight.
For sure. Sorry, Sebastian, I missed your question. Is Tatar and Pionk for Radulov and Ellis a good trade? That's a really close trade. Like, I think, so my suggestion for that is, like, I would say you probably just don't make it. Like, I just feel like that's too close, and it doesn't provide you with, like, it's not like you're getting someone that's going to do really good or someone that's, like, kind of undervalued. Like, you're trading everyone at, like, fair value. So I think, I don't think there's a point in making that trade, personally. Pavelski won me last week. Yeah, so that Stars line was like 1% owned on DraftKings, and I think I came third and like 17th. I won a couple $100 that night. Burns and Perron for Gaudreau and Fox. I would take the Gaudreau and Fox side personally.
I agree.
All right. Blues Golden Knights. So this is going to be a tough matchup. This is going to be the two teams fighting for the top spot of their division. I don't mind Blues won tonight. They had a lot of minutes last year, so they had 400 minutes together. They weren't very good 5-on-5 with producing goals. They were good defensively. So I'm not too high on Blues won at all tonight. I just think it's a really tough matchup for them. But Blues 2, I like them. They were really good for me 2 nights ago. I just think that it's hard to ignore this expected goal numbers that they've been putting up. I know the sample is small and I get it, but they are priced pretty fairly. I did like Schenn at 3,800. But at 13K for a second line that's playing 18 minutes, seeing power play time, I do like them a lot tonight. The third line here is kind of a question mark for me. I've had a lot of messages about Hoffman. Just be patient with him, guys. I mean, he was actually one of our highest ranked players if he was on Florida. Like, he was like a top 50 player for us when he was on Florida. High shot volume guy, tons of goal upside. He's had multiple 30-goal seasons. So I don't mind the Blues tonight. And on the defensive end, I like Parayko. I love Justin Falk tonight. I think Falk's going to be actually one of my favorite defensemen. His minutes are backed with his Carolina minutes. He's playing like 25, 26 a night. When he was with Carolina as the number 1 defenseman, he was shooting a ton. He had a ton of blocks. And it's just going to be hard for me to ignore Falk at 3,600 when he's getting so much opportunity. And then I know you had Vince Dunn in that really good enforcer stack. And he's great value for us tonight. I like Vince Dunn too. He's power play too, plays about 20 minutes, and he's fine at that price. And Binnington is my 10-foot pole goalie. I might be the lowest on Binnington out of any fantasy hockey person possible. I don't like Jordan Binnington. And you want to know why? Because he's had 30 good games in his career.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with you on that one there. That's I'm just not gonna say anything about that one. I think Bennington's an elite goaltender. Colin Parayko 4,600. I'm just skipping over that altogether. Parayko 4,600. You love the guy. Love what he does, and that's a good price for him, I think. Falk at 36. Yeah, like I agree with that. That's a cheap, good option. Done at 26. Now he's super underpriced, and he did have a good game the last game. Like, he had a goal with 2 blocks, 2 shots, but he only played 15 minutes. And then last game against LA, he only played 14 minutes. So I'm probably off him altogether, just based on the fact that his peripherals aren't great, and there's better punt defensemen on the slate for sure. I like the Blues third line. I think they're cheap. But they're going against Vegas's third line, which I also think is a really good third line. So I'm not too sure how I feel about them. I'll probably get to just use them as a filler with an expensive top line. I think that's a good option there. And then, yeah, it's tough to get to the Blues against the Vegas matchup. I think this will be a really fun game to watch. It might be low event, but both teams are definitely going to be battling. So I think even though Binnington's 7,400, I think that's a good price for him. I don't.
Fair enough.
Like I said, I think he's an elite goalie, and I think if the game is as low event as I think it will be, just with the matchup, it's a good price for him.
I don't think Binnington gets considered for an Olympic team for Canada.
I agree with that.
Should I bench Mantha and start Mangiapane? Yeah, you're fine to do that. I'm okay with that. Ellis gets so many blocks and shots. Yeah, it's a close trade. Would Capo be a good goalie to stream tonight against LA? Yeah, that's fine. Foligno or Jenner? Do you think either will play with Line A? I don't. I think it'll be Texier, Bjorkstrand, and Laine. RNH and patches for Mika. Oh, man, I would probably keep Nuge and patches.
Yeah,
That's a tough trade, but I like Pacioretty. Is Yamamoto and Heiskanen for Varlamov a good trade? If you're getting Yamamoto and Heiskanen, yes. If you're getting Varlamov, absolutely not. Done off PP2. Parayko's on it. Okay, that's good. I like that for Parayko. Need winger. Trade Tavares for one of three. Panarin, Marner, or Rantanen. Probably Panarin. Yeah, they're close. Probably Panarin for me. Oh, Owen Sound attack. Cody Ceci, I played there. Jamel Smith. Yeah, they beat out my Sioux Greyhounds. I watched a couple of the games like in real life, and Owen Sound was sick when they had Ceci. Ceci, Smith. I don't think Bennington was the goalie though at the time. They were pretty good. All right, Ducks and Yotes. Kind of a snooze fest game.
Mike, we skipped
we skipped Vegas. Sorry guys, my mind's. So Golden Knights won. Their expected goals numbers have actually come back down to earth. So they're at a 245 so far this year. It's, we saw them at like a 409 clip last year, which was really high. But Stone and Patches, they were over, I think Patches was like nearing 8K and Stone was well over 7K as well. So they've come down in price pretty significantly. Hopefully the ownership isn't there tonight, but I'm definitely going to have them. I just think they produce too many scoring chances for me to ignore them. And you can't go wrong if you take just Pacioretty and Stone. I think you're okay to leave Stevenson off if you need to. Line 2, they have been one of our highest value stacks. I would say over the course of the entire year so far, they've been the best value stack for us, and they've done nothing. But I'm going to be taking them tonight. Again, they're just way too cheap. They play a lot of minutes. They play power play. They have solid defensemen that are moving the puck up to them. And their expected numbers are good. So I'm going to be on line 2 Golden Knights tonight. I can't wait for the night that they go off, and I have 0 of them. And then on the defensive side, I really like Pietrangelo. If you're not taking Yossi, I think you're fine going to him. I think you're also fine going with Theodore as well tonight. There's a lot of good high-priced D. Lot to select from. And Martinez at 5,400 is too expensive for me to touch. I liked him when he was at like the 4K range, but over 5,000 is too expensive for me. And I do like Leonard here at 8,100. I think the Golden Knights can easily shut the Blues out tonight.
Yeah, it's again, like Mike and I have a rule, and it's never bet against the house. And Vegas is the house, and Vegas is that good. Their 5-on-5 numbers are just like they've come a little bit down to earth, but it's still kind of too hard to ignore, right? Like the Pacioretty, Stevenson, Stone line is just great. They're going to see the O'Reilly line, but it usually doesn't even matter the matchup. Like they still see a lot of scoring chances in the game. So I like Vegas 1. Same thing with Vegas 2. Like Mike said, they haven't hit yet, but they're a great filler stack. As you can see by their expected goals there, it's 3.5, which is like that's just telling you that they're getting their chances, right? So again, for that price, I think it's still a good filler stack. I still like Vegas, and I'm gonna get to some line 1 and 2. I'd probably take Petro over Theodore just because his price is cheaper. I consider them both like the same. I think Petro also gets a little bit more in terms of peripherals. But other than that, I'm pretty much off of McNabb and Martinez. I just think Martinez is a little bit too expensive. And then Robin Leonard for 8,100, I think is a great price.
Why is McNabb not 5,700 again? Come on.
It's because he didn't have 5 blocks last game.
Oh, Mr. Matt Keenan, the Valorant legend, is in the chat here asking who Chris Charlton is. Connor Point Burns for Ellis Eichel Evander. Definitely Connor Point and Burns for me. Most underrated player to pick up. Well, Verks, it's hard for me to answer that because I don't know who's available. So it's just a matter of who's available in your league for me to pick up. Who should I play tonight? Pacioretty, Hall, or Panarin? Oh, I don't know. That's hard. Probably Hall and.
I'd say either Hall or Panarin.
To sit?
I just think the match. No. I'd play either of them.
Yeah, you have to start Panarin. I would say you have to start Panarin and Hall tonight. It's so hard. Starter bench Leonard. Definitely start Leonard. Leonard should be a start in every matchup. All right, Ducks and Yotes. We got to wrap this up. It's been 83 minutes. a long slate. Ducks and Yotes. So some line changes on the Ducks here. Raquel's now playing with Silverberg and Henrique. They're all under 5K tonight. So Ducks too, they look good. The Coyotes aren't as good as people think they are. I think they're a little bit overrated at this point. And that second line is pretty terrible defensively. So if that Raquel line's matching up against the Yotes too, I think they can be a great value play tonight. They are, the 13,500 is a little high for me, but I can definitely see myself going off the board and taking them tonight. Not too high at anything on the first line. I get they're cheap, but they're just not productive. I'm not a gets-off guy at all. And on the defensive side, there's some great value here. Cam Fowler at 2,900, playing over 22 minutes a night. Kevin Shattenkirk, me raving about him. He's playing like 25, 26 minutes at 3,400. The Ducks have been getting shut out, but they've had some horrible matchups. Like they haven't played an easy team yet. I think this is going to be one of the easiest it gets. So if there's a game and they score 3 or 4 goals, it's going to be tonight. And I'm assuming John Gibson's going. We don't have his price here, but he's a really good play tonight against the Coyotes as well.
So if Gibson's going, he is 7,600, which is a great price.
Yeah.
But other than that, and maybe the odd Cam Fowler pick, I don't think I'm getting to too much Ducks. I just think the Coyotes matchup is tough, and I think Getzlaf's extremely overrated right now. I think that second line is it's still kind of pricey for me. Like I don't see Henrique being like anywhere around 5K for me. Maybe if he was like under 4,500, I'd be more inclined to take that line. I know Raquel is pretty solid, but outside of that, I don't see myself getting to too much Ducks other than Gibson and some Fowler, maybe some Shattenkirk as well.
Yeah, for sure. McDavid's not better than McKinnon, and you spelled his name wrong. So Hudobin, Grubauer, and Leonard, I just did some research quickly. So Grubauer is a minus 220 favorite. Leonard's a minus 145 favorite, and Hudobin's a minus 210 favorite. So I would probably start Grubauer and Hudobin tonight. And then on the Coyotes side, so the Ducks have been a pretty poor team. The Coyotes, I think Schmaltz and Garland are just like way too overpriced for my liking. I would love to see them in the 4K range, but I'm not going to be too high on the Coyotes at all tonight. I think the second line is decent value with Hayden at min price or close to min price, but again, I just think it's going to be a hard matchup, especially with Gibson in net, who doesn't give up a lot of goals. He's one of the best goaltenders to defend like high scoring chances high danger chances and scoring chances. So it's just going to be hard for the Coyotes to score tonight. That's my assumption anyways. And line 3 is not bad. They've actually been scoring quite a few goals to my surprise, and they're priced down. So at 10K, they're definitely not the worst filler stack, and they're going to be basically unowned tonight. And on the defensive side, Chikrin at 6K is way too much for me, and I would like Goligoski under the 4,000 range. I just think there's better. I'd rather just go Seth Jones or Nurse, who are on PP1, and play 3-4 more minutes more than Goligoski. And then Kemper tonight at 8K. I like Kemper a lot at 8K. I wish he was like in the Gibson range, but I love Kemper tonight too.
Yeah, I don't think you can go wrong with either of those goalies. I think it should be a pretty low event game, but I like the Coyotes 3. Just the value play. Like Dvorak's been solid. Like he doesn't quite get the peripherals, but he's seen some good production. So just as like a sneaky unowned play, I think that's not your worst option. And then I'm probably just off the D and the rest of the Yotes in general today. I was thinking about potentially just fading this game altogether, which will mean it's going to be like a 10-goal game. But I think it should be pretty low event, and I think the goalies are great picks tonight.
All right, fair enough. Kemper, Rust, and Oshie for Dubois, Huby, and Demko. Probably Dubois, Huberdeau, and Demko. I think Huberdeau is like by far the best player in that trade.
Yeah.
Should I be worried about Carter Hart? Absolutely not.
Nope.
All right, Sharks, Avalanche. Sharks won really, really cheap tonight. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen Couture under 5K. I like the Sharks. I know the matchup's going to be hard. Like they're going to have a tough time defending against that McKinnon line. But just at this price tag, it's super favorable for them. You're not reaching too far at the 11K. So I'm going to definitely have some Sharks 1 tonight. Sharks 2 don't project as well just because Kane's price is a little high. And we have John Leonard on there. It's someone I was kind of raving about preseason. So I don't mind Sharks 1 and 2 tonight. They're definitely just more of a value play and an unowned play. So if you're going with a line that you think is going to have a ton of ownership tonight, this is definitely someone that you can pair to bring that ownership down for your total expected line. And on the defensive side, love Burns. I love Burns every night. He's the exact same as Yossi for me, where he shoots a ton, he blocks a ton, he plays a bunch of minutes, he runs that offense. So I'm going to have some Burns tonight. Probably going to have a little bit of Carlson at 5K. I just wish the matchup was a tiny bit better for him. And then another sneaky defenseman, Mario Ferrero. Okay, he's been playing 22 plus minutes a night, first pairing. So I'm going to have some Mario Ferrero at 3,100 tonight. He's going to be right up there with Justin Schultz at that cheap price tag for me. Oh, and Dubnyk is my 40 football goalie tonight.
40. Oh my God. Okay. I don't know how I feel about the Ferrero thing. Like he has good minutes. I'm not seeing too much in terms of peripherals. I think there's just better punt defensemen on the slate, so I'm probably off him. Burns, love him every time he steps on the ice for 6,900. That's fine. That's a guy I'm gonna get to as well. I think I prefer the Yossi matchup though. I'm going to fade the Sharks tonight. I think there's just better options in a 13-game slate. I think the matchup just it's tough, obviously. Their depth is probably a little bit better right now. What is Kadri doing on the third line? I'll get to that in a second. Their depth is probably their second line. It's tough. I think there's better options on the slate, so I'm gonna fade them. It's a 13 gamer, so I think it's hard to take lines that are going to be that you think are going to be underowned when the majority of the time, even the chalk is going to be underowned just because it's a 13-game slate.
For sure. Should I worry about Shesterkin losing starting position? I would. Yeah, he's going to be actually one of my drop candidates in my upcoming videos. You can definitely try and move him.
Him and Georgiev are just going to continue to split. I think the Rangers don't really. They're not going to start one over the other. It's just in terms of the scheduling, they're both going to play.
Yeah. Shane Evander Kane should be playing some Draftkings tonight, betting on himself and just taking a ton of shots. Is Verhage a good pickup? I would say just wait for now. I don't know if he's going to stay on that top line. Timo Meier has been disappointing other than his 3-point game. Not sure what to do with him. His shot volume's there. He's been shooting a bunch, but he's definitely a question mark moving forward because he hasn't been playing a lot. Try buying low on Zibanejad, Horvat, and Suzuki. Horvat and Suzuki you're going to be buying high on, but Zib's definitely a good buy low candidate. Theodore or Pietrangelo. That's like asking me Coke or Pepsi. It's honestly personal preference because they're in the exact same position. They play the same minutes. One's on power play 1, one's on power play 2, but the power plays are the same as the first line, the second line. So it's like what do you prefer, Justin, Coke or Pepsi? Do you think Pionk will be back on PP1? Oh, man, I hope so. But you can definitely look to trade him, but you're going to be selling low on him.
Mark, I'd hang on to him for right now. It just seems like the Jets are just going back and forth between the two, and I still think he's a good 5-on-5 D. He shoots a lot, and his point production is definitely up there as well in terms of D. So I just hang on to him for right now.
Absolutely.
It's like the Heiskanen Klingberg debate. They're both good, but only one can play power play 1.
Oh, okay. So Zib for Horvat and Suzuki. Oof. That's a pretty good trade. I think you're okay accepting that trade.
Yeah, I'd still bet on Zib for sure.
Yeah. All right, Avalanche. Final game of the night, guys. Sorry about this long one. Which one's Coke? Shane's a stud. All right. So Avalanche side, they're extremely pricey for a good reason. Sharks are a terrible defensive team. Avalanche is an amazing offensive team. That first line is phenomenal. They have great numbers. They're just such a strong line in every aspect. It's going to be impossible to fade them on any slate. So I'm definitely going to have some of them tonight. Looking at the second line here, so it looks like Kadri does move down to the third line, which I don't like. I do love that he plays on the first power play. But Burakovsky is back, so he definitely provides some offensive output for them. So I'm going to be having some Avalanche too. They're, under 10K. It's kind of hard to ignore. And on the defensive side, so Bowen Byram has seen 11, 14, and then 18 minutes. So if we can see him over the 20-minute mark tonight, I don't mind that. I know you love Byram when he plays 10 minutes, but I'm more on him now that he's playing 18. So I'm going to have a little bit of him. He's going to be a big-time punt defenseman in hopes that he does get a few shots and a few blocks. We don't know his production at all at the NHL level. So it's going to be hard to, for me to justify why I want so much of him. But I'm definitely going to have a little bit. Taze is way too overpriced, not on power play 1. And Makar at 6,100 is fine. I think the Sharks are actually pretty good on the penalty kill. I think last year they might have been the best team on the penalty kill last year. Can't confirm that though. And Grubauer, he's a huge favorite tonight, so I'm gonna have some Grubauer.
Dude, I didn't expect the Bowen Byram era to start within his first 3 games, but if he's seeing 18 minutes, man, like he must just be making an absolute great impression on the Avalanche coaching staff.
It's also a fourth overall pick, so I think that helps a little bit.
Yeah, I've never been as high on a defenseman as I have since Cale Makar. Like, this guy's just going to be an absolute stud. I'm so excited to watch him play tonight. I'm definitely going to check out that Avalanche game, but give me all of the Avalanche one. I think it's a great matchup. They're always good 5-on-5. They correlate all on power play 1. You can't go wrong. The only time where it gets tricky taking this line is trying to fit Cale Makar in just for correlation, as well as Grubauer. Like, the Makar is always priced over 6K. Grubauer is always priced in a good matchup, especially with Dubnyk at 6,700. I think Dubnyk's, honestly, he should be a backup goalie. But I think that's the only instance where it gets tough and where you have to be creative with what lines you're pairing with Avalanche 1, especially if you're trying to fit Makar in there. But
Minnesota 3 maybe.
Yeah, good option there. Even St. Louis 3. But yeah, I love the Avalanche tonight. It's hard not to. I don't know what's going on with the second and third line, but I'm probably just getting to some Avalanche 1.
Yeah, for sure. All right, top 2 lines for tonight. Do you want to start or do you want me to start?
Stop it. You selling, I'm Byram.
Shane, are you in our Discord?
Get in our Discord. If you guys aren't in the Discord, get in the Discord, because definitely. If you have any questions throughout the rest of the day, that's going to be the best option to get a hold of Mike and I and the rest of the Fantasy Puck team. If you have questions on who you should start, who you should drop, what's upcoming for the rest of the week, like, just get in the Discord, and that'll be the best way to reach us.
All right, favorite line tonight.
My favorite line tonight in a 13-game slate where there's teams like the Oilers and the Jets playing each other. I'm going to say Buffalo 1.
Oh my God, that's who I was going to go with. All right.
Shut up.
Okay, I'll pick a different one. You know me, I like my Isles 1 tonight. So
it's a good one.
I like Isles 1, and I would say my second favorite is probably the Pens too, just given their price.
My second favorite would probably be the Oilers 1.
All right.
Yeah,
they're good.
They're priced down too, so.
All right, so favorite D tonight. You can answer it for me.
it's Roman Josi.
It's Roman Josi.
Favorite D under 6K.
Favorite D, probably Jones.
Yeah. Great price. It's either him or it's Dumba at 49.
Yeah.
For me. What's Parayko's price? Hold on.
46.
I take it back. It's Parayko. it's
PP2 now.
46.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thinking of trading Pacioretty for D, I have 3 solid left wingers. Think my team would tank up higher points. Man, I think Pacioretty is like a poor man's McKinnon in fantasy. Like he has like 300 shots a year. So I don't know who your other left wingers are, but I think Pacioretty is might be a top 5 left winger given his shot production. Last question. Points, fetch, Mika, Connor, Perron, Kaprizov, Gurionov, Anderson, and Bjorkstrand up front. I'm in a 12-man league. You think I should upgrade this forward core? Heavy on the top four. No, that's a solid top four. That's a solid.
I like
yeah.
that team. Yeah,
Yeah,
you've got some young guys with some good upside in Guryanov and Kaprizov. Perron is usually a pretty high shot volume guy.
Yeah, and you got
Connor's
Bjorkstrand.
an absolute shot volume machine. You're fine, dude.
Discord is great. Yeah, man. We're building a pretty good community. I think we have close to 60 people in there now, and I mean, it's not only just me, Clarky, and some of the other guys giving advice. There's also people like Connor or like Wolf. There's people in there that also have valuable advice for you as well. So it's not just to come in and ask us a question and we answer it. Like there's a lot of discussion that happens in there. So it's awesome to see. I love the community that's being built right now. Last question I'm going to take here, Justin. So Barkov or Barzal tonight? I would probably say Barzal tonight.
I think it's tough to get to Barkov when he's not playing with Huberdeau, even though he sees him on like the power play. I just think that that Islanders matchup against the Capitals is so favorable especially for that top line with Barzal there.
Yeah. All right, guys. So that's going to conclude our stream. This was a long one, long slate. We did our best to answer all the questions in the chat for you guys today. I'm sorry if we missed any, guys. It's hard to balance both with just two of us right now. But yeah, appreciate everyone for tuning in. If you want access to our spreadsheet, it's available on our Patreon. If you guys want to support us as a content creators, we also have our projections, and we just came out with our first podcast, and that's all available over at our Patreon. You guys should all be joining the Discord. I recognize a lot of your names in the chat, and I would definitely like to have some more discussion outside of just my YouTube live streams. And then also follow us on Twitter, guys. We're going to be not only having our updates, but we also have some pretty funny content on there as well. We try and keep it light on there, as well as updating you guys on any major line changes, any D that are starting, anyone that's questionable to play and is going to play. So if you guys are wondering if you should start DeBrincat tonight and his status is questionable, we'll be making sure to update you guys on there. And any goalie starts as well will all be on our Twitter. So at fantasy_puck. And Clarky, any before we conclude, guys, I know some of you have already left. Can we get some hat-trick predictions in the chat?
Ooh.
Hat-trick predictions tonight. So let me do some digging here.
Okay, I think I got mine.
Got your hat-trick prediction?
Yep.
All right, go ahead.
I'm going Mika Zibanejad.
All right, I like it. Good matchup. I'm going to go Matt Tkachuk against the Leafs tonight.
Ooh, I like that pick too. Yeah, guys, thank you so much for chilling. I know this was a long one, but long game slates. Like we've been saying all the time, if you guys aren't in the Discord, get in the Discord. It's the best way to get a hold of us. 33 likes already. Love that. You guys are showing us support. We love that. We love chatting with you guys. And I apologize for my cam mic situation, but I'm going to probably spend the next little bit trying to figure that out on my end.
Stressing out.
Yeah, exactly. I also stream over on Twitch Monday through Friday, usually around 7 p.m. If the Leafs are playing, we'll check out that game because I'm a big Leafs fan. So if you guys are interested in that or some Call of Duty content, we're actually, me and my buddy are actually going for round 100 in Zombies tonight. So if you want to check that out, by all means, stop by. I know there's a lot of hockey on, so you guys will probably be watching. But I'll have that on the side as well. We can chat if you guys have any questions or anything. And then thanks again to Mike for having me on. Yeah, I think let's make some money tonight on a big slate.
Get that money.